boys to be exposed to the selective falsehood that being gay is just one more kind of love.
Much of what people are complaining about is in the mind of the adult who reads it, not in the mind of a child.
While critics used petitions and scriptures, supporters quoted the Constitution. And while both sides kept score, for over 2 hours, stone-faced library officials sat caught in a crossfire of pleas, arguments, even threats.
If these books are not removed from the library, then we will have no choice but to go before the county commissioners and to ask for your dismissal.
And yes, even The Wizard of Oz by Frank Baum was initially banned because a group of fundamentalists felt it was mystical and unchristian.
But it wasn't just the adults who spoke.
We children of gay parents have a voice too. We stand before you and demand that books about our family be available to us.
Remember this, the sign outside this building says public library, not heterosexual library and not Christian library.
For the time being, the 2 books have been pulled from the shelves and are being kept under the counter here at the checkout desk. Now, library officials say they will decide October 22nd whether or not to put the 2 paperback books back on the shelves or keep them out of the way. In Fayetteville, Greg Barnes, WTVD 11 News.
Lots of folks turned out for a public hearing this morning concerning the books, Daddy's Roommate and Heather Has Two Mommies. Both books are about homosexual parents and are designed to help children understand gay relationships. However, many are complaining that such material is not intended for children and call for the books to be banned. Library officials have pulled the books from the shelves for now. They will decide next week whether to keep them out of sight or put them back on the shelves.
Supporters of the controversial books say it's censorship. The 2 sides banged heads about the books, Daddy's Roommate and Heather Has Two Mommies, at a public hearing this morning. Library trustees sat in cold-faced silence as residents, clergymen, and children squared off in debate.
These books give a cloak of respectability and a facade of acceptability to a hellish lifestyle of sexual perversion and homosexuality.
We children of gay parents have a voice too. We stand before you and demand that books about our family be available to us. And in the section that it belongs, our section, same as any other.
It's not in a browsing collection where little youngsters...
Daddy's Roommate have sparked a storm of controversy. Library officials voted to leave the books on the shelves despite strong opposition to have them banned. Gilbert Bays has the story from Fayetteville.
This morning's meeting of the Library Board of Trustees was much calmer and quieter than the one a week ago. Last week's public hearing was packed wall to wall. Dozens of people voiced strong opposition and support for the 2 homosexually oriented books. After about an hour of discussion, the trustees unanimously voted to keep the books in the children's section of the library. Supporters say the decision is a victory for parents struggling to teach their children about life.
On prejudice, on sex, on a lot of subjects, because she's been able to read these books and approach me with the subject instead of me sitting down and trying to bring them up with her.
Library officials say even though the books are in the children's section, they are not easy to find. The books are in the nonfiction area, not a section children generally wander through looking for a picture book.
And how easy is it for a child to actually find it?
If they knew the Dewey Decimal System, if they knew, first of all, how to get at it through the card catalog, second of all, they knew where it would be at upstairs, and then how to use the Dewey Decimal System on the shelves, then yes, they could. But that's a lot of ifs.
Opponents fear not enough parents will take the time to review what their children read.
That's true. That is the parents' responsibility to see what their children have. But how many parents go to that problem? That's what I'm concerned about.
The controversy surrounding these 2 books, Heather Has Two Mommies and Daddy's Roommate, has been going on in Cumberland County for the past 2 months. Today's decision by the Board of Trustees means that these books will remain on the shelf right here in the children's nonfiction section, where all kids will have a chance to see them. Gilbert Bays, WREO.
After a week of thinking it over, Cumberland County library officials this morning decided to keep the books Daddy's Roommate and Heather Has Two Mommies on their library shelves in what they called a unanimous vote on censorship, not morality.
It appears to me that we are now being asked in Cumberland County to violate the law, offend people, violate personal rights.
A week ago today, trustees got an earful at a public hearing as a packed crowd argued for and against banning the books. Today, only a handful of people showed up for the trustees' decision, a decision that pleased those who opposed the ban.
This is the way it should have been. There was no reason I could see to have those 2 books banned.
and angered opponents who vow to keep up their fight.
I think probably the next step is to go to the county commissioners and see what they think about it. And if they won't listen to us, we'll probably go to the state representatives and congressmen.
Schaefer argues the books which deal with homosexual parents have no place in a children's library, but some of the parents we talked with today said it wouldn't upset them if their children brought the books home.
I would say that's fine, and we would sit down and read it together, and we would talk about it.
It's just another option, another lifestyle, and it's like you can't hide it.
So what would happen if your son brought it home or checked it out?
I'd probably read it to him.
Ironically, the two books go back on the shelves here in the children's section, right next to the story of Adam and Eve. And in the end, library officials say it's a question of responsibility for the parents to choose what their children read and when. In Fayetteville, Greg Barnes, WTVD 11 News.